Welcome, everybody, to the Indianapolis Colts franchise here on Pastor's Game 2 on Madden 24. It's been a long time since the Indianapolis Colts have been a highly relevant playoff or Super Bowl contender, all the way back till Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison. Man, those were the days, Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison. But now it's a new quarterback in town. Anthony Richardson is coming into the house, brand new quarterback coming in and wanting to establish a new era for the Indianapolis Colts. He's got some players with him, and he's got some players that he don't know if he's gonna have with him, and it's gonna be a fun time to do the franchise. They're gonna look at some of the highlights from the preseason. Preseason was not a great showing for Richardson. Was not very good passing the ball, but did show that he could make some plays with the run with his feet. So we've got a lot of work to do with this team as we try to figure out what it's going to take to move them forward. Also saw an injury bug strike us in the preseason. Jonathan Taylor and Grover Stewart, probably our top offensive player and one of our top defensive players, also went down in the preseason. So we're not quite sure what this team looks like at full strength, but we're going to see here very soon as we get ready to get this party started. Let's go. You already know you got to meet the new coach. You got to bring in Coach Bo Jackson, a standby, a legend here in the Pastor Game 2 multiverse of franchises. Coach Bo is always bringing his expertise to the teams that we are taking over. And normally we like to go to a 3-4 disguise theme with Coach Bo. This team is set up for a 4-3. But we're going to see. Haven't quite decided whether we're going to stick with the 4-3 or to go with the 3-4. But I think we'll see as we think through the contracts and look at what we're going to need to do to build this team out. We'll have to decide whether the 3-4 or the 4-3 is going to be the best scheme that we will run. Okay, so let's take a quick look at some of the offensive key players. We already talked about this man, number 5, Anthony Richardson, hit and dev trade as a rookie. He is 6'4", 244 pounds, coming out of Florida, and one of the most nimble quarterbacks in this particular class. 95 throw power, and but not very good accuracy at short, medium, or deep. But boy, does he have an opportunity with his legs. 91 speed, 92 acceleration, and an 80 break sack. And he's got 87 change direction. So Anthony Richardson, we really need to get him going from a passing point of view. We may be able to win some time, though, with the running game with his feet. I don't know, though. We'll have to see. Looking at our next best player is Jonathan Taylor, and we don't know if he's going to be with us. He's 5'10", 226 pounds, out of Wisconsin. Superstar trait for him, and definitely the face of the franchise at the moment. Jonathan Taylor is a wonderful mix of speed and power, agility and power. He's got the break tackle, he's got the speed, he's got the juke, he's got the spin move, he's got the stiff arm. Probably one of the more well-rounded running backs where it comes to elusive and power. Jonathan Taylor is going to be a great addition if he sticks around. We know that Jonathan Taylor has decided that he wants to get traded in real life. If they do trade him, we'll trade him in our franchise, or we may trade him anyway because we don't want nobody who don't want to be here. I say. But yeah, here's a look at his traits. Armbar, I think that was a juke move. And then the closer, I think this is a new one where he can get into the zone a little bit quicker in the second half. If you follow my franchise, you know we like to run in the second half. So that could be a big deal for us, putting away games if we need to. And that's the way the teams might have to play, is ball control. Michael Pittman, wide receiver, he is a star. Love his height, 6'4". He's 25 years old, and could be a staple if Anthony Richardson can get him the ball. Love the 93 spec catch and the catch in traffic and the catching all together. Seems like he'd be a great target. Tall, 95 jumping. Seems like we ought to be able to high point the ball to him. The only knock on him is that he's not very fast. He's got an 88 overall. An 88 speed. And that makes me not want to go deep with him, because he's probably not going to beat his guy. And the way Anthony Richardson is throwing it, I'm not sure he's going to get the high point that it would be needed for Michael Pittman to make the plays that we need him to make. Pittman's contract could expire before we get a chance to use him well. We'll have to see how that goes. Quentin Nelson is probably the best offensive lineman. Not probably, he is the best offensive lineman. Big boy, 6'5", 333. In hometown, he's from Notre Dame, also in Indianapolis. Quentin Nelson is the number one left guard in the league. Ranked number 1, 97 strength, and has the 91 run block. Seems like he's going to make for a nice accomplice to the run game on the left side, with his run power and his run block and his lead block all in the 90s. So it feels like it would be good. Holding down that left side, we hope to keep him for a long time. We'll take a look at his abilities, and he had one slot that hadn't been assigned, so we had to go in and make that assignment. He's got the nasty street, he's got the pool elite, and with the ability slot, we jumped in here and had a look at some things. So here's the unspun. Didn't think we wanted to do that. Blockers with this ability will toughen up against the spin move. The fool me once, I've never really messed with. Natural talent was very alluring. Blockers with this ability come with a natural ability to play their position a little bit better. Threat detector I really liked. I think that's the one we're going to go with. But secure protector is also there with the reduced rusher chance. Matador, blockers with this ability have stronger protection against dominant bull, and lifeguard again against the swim and the post up there. But I think we went in and selected the threat detector because again, I think we're going to be running the ball. We may be running out of the pistol and have to do some option. And so it might be good to have a little hint about where the blitzes are coming, and maybe Quentin can help us with that. Right tackle, on the right side of our defensive line, we've got Braden Smith, 82 overall, another player that we can begin building this offensive line around, hope to keep them around for a long time. The number 7 right tackle in the game, 92 strength, 81 pass block, 87 run block, and in the 84 lead block. So nice player to protect the run and the pass, and we need both of those. I'm afraid we're going to be doing a lot of ball control. Our playbook for the Colts is a pistol, but also shotgun. So it's very interesting. It's built around having kind of a guy with an arm to do the thing. But anyway, and this moves on to sleepers. These are players that are not highly rated, but I think will be important to our franchise, and that's Alec Pierce. He is a 6'3", second year wide receiver, 211 pounds, and he is, I like him because he's 6'3". I like him because he's got nice speed. The acceleration is 94, catching traffic and a spectacular catch. So he's got the skills. What he doesn't have yet is a lot of the mental game, especially as a second year player. And that's the sort of thing that we can work on. We can get him a little mind game as we progress him. So be on the lookout for Alec Pierce. All right, so on the defensive side, it's DeForest Buckner. He is clearly the best player on this team on the defensive side, and a player that we want to keep around despite the fact that he's 29 years old. Superstar X Factor, 6'7", 95 pounds out of Oregon. DeForest Buckner already in the preseason showed an ability just to get back into the backfield and disrupt a little bit. Buckner may be a guy that we build a 3-4 scheme around. I can see a future where Buckner is the sole piece of the middle, and we have built out a right end and a left end that can complement him and really have something special in the defensive line portion of the defense. He's got unstoppable force, although I think we're going to change this. I think we like something different for our superstar X Factor. As a defensive tackle, I think we're going to need to deal with the run. And if we can get a skill that's going to help us with the run, that's going to be really something that we need, I think. So we'll take a look at a few of the X Factor abilities that are available. And I think we're going to go with the run stopper on this. Yeah, I can see where DeForest Buckner is. We want to try to keep him for the long term, making plans to have him lock up the middle for at least 2 or 3 more years, and we can try to build something around him. Maybe he can be a mentor to something new that we might draft. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. He's got a few more superstar abilities, El Toro, inside stuff. And I forgot what that middle one was, but you guys saw it. So that's what's up. Yeah, DeForest Buckner, definitely a big player for our defense. Grover Stewart, his partner in crime in the 4-3. The 4-4-3 is the defensive line. There's 4 players on the defensive line, which usually means 2 defensive tackles. Grover Stewart is going to be the second one, but we don't really like his skills. He's 85 overall. He's got 91 strength, but speed is at 66. Finesse moves is at 59. Power moves at 74. Doesn't seem to have an ability to really block shed. He's got 86 block shed, but he doesn't have any special moves in order to get there. Grover Stewart seems like a player that we might want to move on from. This may be the time. He's 29 years old. I'm looking at his contract. He's got 1 year left on the contract. He's interested, but this may be the year to try to move Grover Stewart to a different team and make room for something else on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe a linebacker. And again, this might be us moving to a 3-4 because if we move Grover, then that only leaves one solid defensive tackle, and that means we'd have to do something at linebacker. Speaking of linebackers, Shaquille Leonard, our best linebacker. Here he is. I love him. Great player, 94 tackle, 85 speed, and has a decent zone coverage and man coverage trait. I like that we can move those things up. I know those are 60s, but I think we can get him going a little bit. Doesn't have a lot on the power moves, but I don't think we really need him there. We really need him to be able to pursue, which is the 93, and have good speed to chase down some of the players he might have to cover, particularly some of the tight ends and some of the quarterbacks that might try to leak out on his side. Kenny Moore is a cornerback. He's also the best cornerback we have on our team. I guess the best rated. The problem is he's only 5'9", and I don't like that as our top corner. I think the ball can be thrown over his head despite the fact that he's there. Doesn't have strong tackle, so I'm not sure he's going to be able to be a player that can knock the ball down. Seems like he'd be good for a slot cover, right? But not as a main, and that's what he's having to play on our team. So we are needing something else for the cornerback position because Kenny Moore really can't be the top guy for our cornerback squad. And Kenny Moore is also a player that has 1 year left, and he's not very interested in coming back. So Kenny Moore may or may not be with this team for very long. Either he doesn't sign his contract, or we find a trade for him and begin to look at this cornerback position. Maybe we trade him for a second or third pick. I don't know. We'll have to see. Looking at some of the sleepers on defense, we have Adetomiwa Adibawore, and he is a right end out of Northwestern, a rookie. He's only 22 years old, 6'2", 282 pounds. The thing about Double A is I like the 89 speed on the edge. And as we again start thinking about what would be players that would work well for a 3-4 scheme, potentially he would be good. I think both ends need to have speed in the way we like to run it. And so he could be a player that we've developed over the next couple of years. Cameron McGrone, like him as well, 6'1". This is his second year. Drafted originally to the New England Patriots, coming out of Michigan. Now he is with the Indianapolis Colts, where he grew up. Cameron McGrone is 88 speed. I love the speed. Does not have the skills yet, but he does have the athleticism, and I do like that. So he's a left outside linebacker right now, but we may move him around the linebacker core to see where he might be a better fit. These may be middle linebacker traits instead of left outside linebacker traits. And so we'll see, but we want to keep an eye on Cam. And also, this is probably shouldn't be in the sleeper. Probably should be in the key player section of this video. But Julius Brents, a rookie, 75 overall, has a lot of really great skills. 75, 76 for zone and man coverage, 96 jumping, acceleration's good. The only thing that's tough is his speed. His speed is at 88, and I think that's going to be a problem. He's 6'3". We missed that on the first video, on the first part of the screen there, but he's 6'3", and really could be a guy that might end up taking on some of the top top wideouts that we play against because he's got the height. So we got another guy here, Darius Rush. He's 6'2", 69 overall. He's got the speed, but he doesn't have all of the skills. But at 70 and 69 with a rookie for man coverage and zone, it's definitely something we can work with. Doesn't have the tackle, and so Darius has a lot of work to do. But again, a lot of potential for this particular player. It's kind of like him. We need to take a look. We need to keep our eye on Darius Rush. All right, quick look at the conference opponents. We have 3 teams in our conference, like everyone else, or 4 teams total, but 3 other teams other than us. One of them is the Houston Texans, and we have their top 5 players are left tackle Tunsil, Ward, Damian Pierce is the running back, Shaq Mason, and Dalton Schultz as a tight end. It's probably not the most scary set of top 5s for the Texans. They have some decent players to build around, but the Texans could be in for a tough season. They do have some excitement around their quarterback. In fact, we may have a little rivalry with CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson, as they both come out the same year, go to the same conference, and face each other twice a year. CJ is a little bit better of a quarterback, at least on paper, than Anthony. Doesn't have the speed, but is much better in the short, medium, and deep accuracy than Anthony Richardson is. Damian Pierce will be a decent runner to worry about, and then Devin Singletary will also be a pretty tough runner. Nothing scary on the receiving core for the Texans. Feels like we may be able to do something against them on that. Dalton Schultz is a decent tight end, and he was all the rage a couple years ago. Laramie Tunsil is going to lead the offensive line. The rest of the offensive line is not that great, except the right guard, Shaq Mason. So pretty young team in those regards. And the defensive line, not that good, and getting older. So the team is getting older. A lot of 29, a lot of 30-year-olds, and they're 68, 69, 70, 71, 72 ratings. Houston's on its way to, I was going to say on its way to a rebuild. They've probably been rebuilding forever, but they've got a lot of older players that they've got to do something about. Here's a player we thought we might look at, liked his speed and acceleration, but then suddenly remembered that we don't like to make trades in our conference. So moved on. The defensive, what are these called? The cornerbacks, defensive secondary. They look pretty good. It's probably the highlight of their defense. Probably the most thing to worry about with them. Tennessee Titans. This is a lot more scary. Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins. Two great players. Kevin Byard, Jeffrey Simmons, Nico Autry, and then Harry Landry III. All of those are, in my opinion, really, really good players. Derrick Henry can beat you by himself, and so can DeAndre Hopkins. So the Titans feel like every time we play them, we have a 50-50 shot, at least this year. They have a solid offense. They don't have a great quarterback, but they are probably going to depend on the run a lot like how we do. And so DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a handful. And we also have to deal with Duvernay. What's Duvernay's first name? That's right, Devin Duvernay. Those are two pretty good receivers. Devin Duvernay is pretty young, and despite being at 77, overall his 94 speed, especially with players on our team that don't quite have the speed to keep up with them, could be a problem for us. Nothing scary too much on the tight end side, but the left tackle and the rest of the offensive linemen are just so. Nico Autry and Jeffrey Simmons will hold down the ends, and Tier Tart will hold down the middle. So that's a solid defensive line to build around. But the linebackers are struggling, with the exception to Harold Landry. He's got a great ability to play the field, nice speed, also covers the pass and the run pretty well. Corners were okay. Kevin Byard is also going to be pretty good, but other than that, the Titans are probably a B- team, and in the NFC, that really gives them a chance to make some hay. And then the last team is the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Jacksonville is one of those teams. They just have balance everywhere. They don't have any 90, super top tier players, but they've got mid 80s everywhere. They got mid 80s on the offense, on the defense, on the line, on the linebacker core, in the secondary. They've got middle 80s everywhere, and they're a pretty young team. Trevor Lawrence, 23 years old, 84. He's going up from there, right? So he's going to be something that we have to deal with over the next few seasons. Travis Etienne, 24 years old, he's at 84. And you're going to see this over and over. And they're going to be young players who are in their mid 80s who are only going to get better. So Jacksonville, if you're a Jacksonville Jaguar fan, you have a lot to be excited about. Christian Kirk, 26 years old. Calvin Ridley, 28. Zay Jones, 28. And that's the oldest it's going to get, I think, for this team. Those two are the oldest receivers, and it's looking like if they should be fine. I mean, they're not out of it. And so you've got Evan Ingram as a tight end. He's probably maybe a little bit older, but the rest of these offensive line is just okay. A lot of youth on the offensive line. The left end here and the right end are a little bit older and not so skilled. But the defensive tackle is pretty good. Devon Hamilton coming through. Josh Allen, solid middle linebacker. Left. What was he? outside linebacker, and Devin Lloyd, a nice linebacker. I mean, they've got a good team over here, man. Jacksonville's got a good team. If you want to main a team and didn't want to like start from scratch, but just really wanted to take a team and not have to change it much and just grow with it, like the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be that team. And again, that means for this franchise that Jacksonville is going to be a problem year after year. Now, the only thing that could kill all of that is if some of these players have contracts that are going to be expiring soon and cause them to move around. I didn't look into that, but for this year and probably next year, Jacksonville is going to be tough. All right, so let's take a look at the salary cap for the Colts. We already looked at our team, looked at our top players and our enemies, our defense. This is what's crazy about the Colts. They have 19 players whose contracts are going to be up this year. 19. Look at this remaining. All right, we're going down this list. And all these people with one. Cameron McGrone is going to be one of them. Pinter is going to be one of them. Gardner Minshew, which is the backup quarterback. He's going to be one, which means we got to sign a quarterback. So I won't get into like all the things we need to sign. What I need you to see right here, though, is it's 19 of them. Now, there's a couple of players that as we're moving through here, I think we're kind of marking them for trades. And probably the most... Well, I guess we'll look at it here in just a minute as we kind of look at them from position to position. But Tyquan Lewis is a player that I think we might trade with 72 overall. Kenyon Drake, I guess they signed him just for 1 year. So he's doing his thing. He's got his $1 million this year. I actually like Kenyon Drake. He might be a decent player for us this year. We'll see. This punter, however, he's got to go. We're not re-signing him at all. $12 million, and it would save us about $3 million to drop him. I say we do that. Jonathan Taylor, he's up for his contract, as we all know. Isaiah McKenzie, and this next guy, Grover Stewart, looks like we already talked about why he'd be a good strategic trade for us, and now financially it makes sense as well. He's got $9 million. If we get rid of him, we save $9 million, and the penalty's only 1, so we could get probably $7.5 or $8 million added to our cap, messing with Grover Stewart. So I think that trade, we're going to explore that trade. Michael Pittman Jr. is also up. We got to decide whether it's going to be worth it to pay him and keep him around, or do we need to do something else? Lots of big decisions for the Colts. Here's Grover Stewart. We show him again, $9 million, and if we let him go, we'd save $9 million and be penalized for 1. I don't think Stewart's going to be a solid player for us. We'll see, though. We will see. Kenny Moore, his contract is up. We saw this earlier, and he may be another trade target for us to move on from. We're definitely going to see what those two might want. Definitely Kenny Moore doesn't want to come back, isn't the sort of cornerback that we need, and we're probably going to have to make a move from him. And then we got this punter that we're definitely going to move on from and save a few dollars with. So Sanchez will have to find somebody else to get that crazy money. $12 million for a punter? Are you kidding me? That must be amazing. And he's not. He's only I think he's 77 or something like that. That's crazy. So yeah, looking at a few of the other players, King and Drake here. There's the fullback. We moved the tight end to the fullback position. Isaiah McKenzie, a player that I kind of like. He's currently the second best rated receiver on our team, but probably should play the slot. We'll see what he does this season. He has an opportunity to play for his contract. And I'm just kind of looking through some of the rest. Like I said, Tyquan Lewis, looking to see if we can get something for him. It's maybe another role player kind of trade that we do with Tyquan to try to strengthen the middle linebacker position, to see if we can get a little more pursuit and speed on that. Again, leaning more toward the 3-4 scheme that is a fast and opportunistic linebacker scheme. So Tyquan, he may be able to help us get some youth and some skill in that particular area via trade. Okay. So the cap situation is not that bad. We already have 20 million. We can free up more. We should be able to get some help on our team through free agency and through trades, and potentially through the draft if the trade leads to draft picks. All right, so let's take a look at the schedule for this season. We're just gonna go through and pick wins and losses. We're gonna pick the wins and losses. Looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'll tell you right now, it's probably gonna be a loss. Especially this first game, it's probably going to be a loss, but it could be a win, but probably gonna be a loss. As a matter of fact, we're gonna write it as an L. Expect to lose this Jacksonville Jaguar game to lead. Texans, though, we think we got a chance. So we get one win with the Texans. Thinks we can get that. Probably going to be a loss with the Ravens. Think we can get our second win with the Rams. Probably going to be a loss with the Titans. And another loss with the Jaguars. But I think we can get a win against the Browns. The Browns are probably, I don't know, that's a question mark game, but we're going to say we get our fourth win with the Browns. I think it's the fourth win. Saints, another one. The Browns and the Saints feel like about the same kind of team. I think we lose against the Saints. I think we win one against the Panthers. And if we don't win against the Panthers, then we win the Saints and lose the Panthers. I feel like it's going to be one of the two. Patriots, I think we get the loss. I think the Buccaneers, we win. That'll be our fifth win. I think the second Titans game, we win. That's 6. Bengals, we lose. Steelers, we win. Falcons, we win. Raiders, we lose. Texas, we win. So I believe that puts us at 8. I think we can predict 8 wins in this season. Although, that's me being very optimistic with our team. The last thing we're going to do is talk about the franchise settings. Some of you guys are going to be curious about how we set up the franchise. And so this is for you, those you franchise nerds who are looking at the settings. Right now, we're not going to mess with any sliders. We're going with all Madden, 9 minutes, quarters. Most of this stuff is going to stay the same. We're going to keep the home field and dynamic momentum. I think that does add something special to the experience, despite how frustrating it can be. We are going to reorder our own depth chart. Yay. Auto progress is off. We need to turn off the tutorial pop-ups. So we did turn that off. Trade deadline is on. Trading type is fun. Did move the trade difficulty to hard. I think hardest felt not quite good to me, but I liked hard. Felt good. Salary cap is on. Free agent motivation, we're going to make that high as well. Make it a little bit harder to sign players who aren't really interested. The rest of these, I think, pretty much stay the same. Thought long and hard about this progressive fatigue. We're going to try it for this first season, see if Madden fixed it. If they didn't fix it, then we'll have to turn it off. I really like the idea of it though, and I want Madden to get it right. I don't want to have to just turn it off. Prospect storylines will keep. I think the rest of this stuff, I think we will just keep the same. So it's an exciting time. Get started with this franchise. I love the idea of going with the Colts. I hope you guys join with me. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel as we get started with this team, the Indianapolis Colts. Someone I was thinking about doing last year, and we're going to go ahead and get it in for this particular season. Man, thanks for hanging out with us. I appreciate you. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Be on the lookout for the season opener. Until then, I will see you when I see you. Peace.